Welcome back to design of substructures. In last class we discussed design of footing. We covered square footing, square eccentric footing, rectangular footing. Now we are discussing rectangular combined footing. What is combined footing? When two or more than two columns, if they are in one line and common platform is given for those columns, common footing is given for the two columns, then that design is called as rectangular combined footing based on the shape. If the shape of the common footing provided for two column is rectangular, that is rectangular combined footing. If the shape of the footing provided for two columns, if it is in a in a trapezoidal shape, that is a trapezoidal combined footing. In combined footing we will have a two types again. The one is only the footing will be given, that slab will be given, on that slab two columns are resting, and in some other, in another type, one beam will be provided between two columns, that is called as a strap beam. Therefore beam, strap beam type combined footing and normal combined footing, and another one is there, separate isolated footings will be given and both will be connected with a beam, that is called as a cantilever combined footing. These theoretical information I will discuss in the third module. Now we will solve the problem. Now exam point of view, this problem is a very complicated problems. These rectangular combined footing problems are very complicated, not complicated, but very lengthy problems. In examination, the entire thing they may not ask, they may ask part of the problem. That I will explain at the end of this problem. Coming to the problem here, the design the rectangular combined footing for two columns. Here two columns are given. The one is 400 by 400 and second one is 600 by 600 mm. Okay, two different size columns are there. Carries a vertical load of 1000 kilonewton and 1500 kilonewton respectively. Soil below the foundation has allowable bearing capacity 280 kilonewton per meter square. Center to center distance between the column is 3.6 meter. From the center of left column, property line situates 0.59 meter. Okay, that I will show in the diagram. Consider M20 and FE4 and 5. See here we have a two columns. One is this and the second one is here. This is 400 by 400. This is 600 by 600. In the plan you can see this way. Okay, and the center to center distance between the column, it is given 3.6 meter, and the last sentence is what, from the center of the left column, this is the center of the left column to the property line is 0.59 meter. This 0.59 meter is also given, and this projection is not given. You are free to decide this projection. Okay, now the data whatever it is given in the problem I will list out here, that is column number 1 load, column 2 load, column 1 size, column 2 size, and center to center distance between the column 3.6, M24 and 5, SBC 280. These are the given data in the problem. Next, total load. Total load in the simple way we will calculate like column 1 load, column 2 load, we will add both and we will get 2500, and dead load of the footing, because still it is not decided the depth and proper dimensions of the footing, therefore dead load we don't know. We will assume 10% of the column load as a dead load of the footing, therefore 250 we added, then we will get 2750 kilonewton is a total load acting on the soil by the footing. Now area and dimensions of the footing. Area is as usual formula, total load divided by SBC, we will get 9.821 meter square. This is a meter square area, we got it. Now proportioning is very important here. In rectangular combined footing or in trapezoidal combined footing, again these combined footing we can divide into two types: concentric load combined footing and eccentric load combined footing. Nowadays we always ignore that eccentric load combined footing because it becomes very complicated even design and even in implementation. Okay, therefore we always design a combined footing, rectangular or trapezoidal, but this problem belongs to rectangular, and concentric load only we will do. What is the meaning of concentric load? Means when the column is subjected to loads here this way, that is 1000 kilonewton, 1500 kilonewton, the CG of these two loads will be, these two loads will be somewhere in between these two columns. Say for example, what is the total load acting downwards? That is 2500, somewhere it will act here. Then what is that point we need to identify first. If the CG of the load is acting at this point, then that point and the CG of the rectangular shape of the footing should coincide each other. If the CG of the loading and CG of the rectangular footing are at one point, then we can say that is a concentric loaded combined footing. Okay, now therefore in while proportioning the footing we need to consider that. Therefore first we will calculate the CG of the loading point where it is acting. Distance of resultant from the column A, this is a column A, and from here to that CG point we will consider x distance. This distance we will call it as a x distance, and that distance will be, it is simple, you can remember like a formula also, that is the other column into center to center distance divided by total load. The other column, because you are measuring from this column, therefore the other column load is 1500 into 3.6 divided by total load, then you will get 2.16 meter, that is from here to the CG. Okay, that is 2.16 meter. Now from the left edge of the footing, means from here to CG how much distance is there. From here to it is 2.16 and the projection it is given 0.59. If I add both of them I will get 2.75. This 2.75 is CG of the loading from the left edge of the footing. Why we considered left edge? Because property line is situated here. Okay, we cannot go beyond this one, therefore this is a considered, and from here we got 2.75 meter, that is CG of the loading. Then how to this point I need to make it as a CG of the footing also. As it is a rectangular footing, the CG will be what? Total length, if it is L, and this will be L by 2. Then I know L by 2, this much is known to us, then into 2 times if I do, then I will get the entire rectangular area, and simultaneously that point becomes a CG of the rectangular area. Now coming to here, that becomes 2.75 into 2 becomes 5.5 meter, that is 5.5 meter. We already know the total area is 9.821, therefore this works to be breadth will be 1.8, means breadth will be 1.8, length will be 5.50 meter. This is the proportion of rectangular combined footing. Now coming to the next step, upward soil pressure. Upward soil pressure, it will look like this. It is somewhat of overhanging beam or inverted overhanging beam. These two you can consider it as a supports, means in an inverted overhanging beam, but it is in a reverse order. This is a column and this is a column. Here 1500 and 2250 I have taken, but actually here 1000 kilonewton is acting and here 1500 kilonewton is acting. But why I consider 1500 here? Because that 1000 is multiplied by 1.5 and this 1500 is multiplied by 1.5, I got 2250. Therefore this column load and this column load, these two are factored column loads. Factor of safety is applied to that. Then what is the sum of these two? These two sum will be about 3750. 3750 divided by the total length if I do, then I will get the Q dash value. Q dash is the kilonewton per meter load I will get. That I will do like 1500 plus 2250 divided by 5.5, that equal to 681.81 kilonewton per meter. Okay, this is a load acting, upward load acting. Now in the design what I do, I will consider this as a beam only, beam of width 1800 1800 mm and depth I will calculate. Okay, I am not considering here that critical faces for bending moment and shear force, critical section, okay, and determining cantilever projected area, cantilever as previous problems. I don't do like that. I will consider it as the entire beam, that is a overhanging beam with a breadth 1800 and depth d. Okay, considering that I will draw the bending moment diagram for this one. For this projected area here, overhanging portion, for that bending moment will be, it look like a cantilever, therefore it is a WL square by 2, that is your WL square by 2. Okay, WL square by 2, that is 118.69, and this side, right side overhanging portion, that is your WL square by 2, that is your 585.03. Okay, and this one I will draw in the diagram, that is at this point the bending moment, and this point 585 bending moment, this I got. And the joining of these two bending moments will be a parabolic in shape because UDL is there throughout on the beam. Now how much it is maximum? Okay, what is the maximum in the middle span? In the middle span, what is the maximum bending moment? That I need to determine. But to determine this maximum bending moment, we need to use one criteria. That criteria is called as where shear force is 0, their bending moment will be maximum. Now then what shear force is 0 means, we need to find a first shear force diagram, then after that we will identify where that shear force is 0, then after that at that point we will determine bending moment. Okay, for that I will draw the shear force diagram directly, because this is no use in design, only to identify the SF equal to where that SF equal to 0 point is there. Okay, now how we got this 402 and 1098, that you need to think in terms of shear force diagram. That is the third semester BE SFD and BMD chapter. Okay, if you take a section at this point, you will see at the left side vertical force is 681.8 into 0.59, that is your 402 you got it. Then 1500 minus 402, you will get 1098. Then shear force at this point, for that you will see at the right side vertical force is 681.8 into 1.31, that you will get a 893. Then 12250 minus 893, you will get a 1357. Then you will join them in a straight line, because this is a UDL shear force for UDL will be linear. You will join them. Then we will hold this point. This point is situated somewhere here. I will call this point from here to here, that is a X point. Okay, X distance from the left end. Then at that point I will determine the shear force and equate to 0. Then what is the shear force at that point? At that point shear force will be, I will consider the left part of the beam, and left part of the beam we have a two force. One is a 1500 downward and upward this much of UDL. Okay, that UDL is 681.8 into X, it is a upward force, and minus 1500 kilonewton is a downward force. Then I will get a X equal to 2.2 meter. What it means, that at a 2.2 meter from the left end of the beam, you will get a shear force equal to 0. Now we got 2.2 as a shear force is 0. At that point we need to determine bending moment. For that bending moment, again you take a section here, look at the left side, and here one UDL is there, UDL into perpendicular distance, and 1500 into perpendicular distance. UDL is 681.8 and 2.2 square by 2, that is your, at this point UDL acts like a cantilever but in upward direction, and minus 1500 into the distance between this point to the this corresponding point is your 2.2 minus 0.59. Then you will get a minus 765 kilonewton, that is minus 769 kilonewton is this one. Okay, this is your maximum bending moment in the middle span, and you got a bending moment in the supports also. But these bending moments are not similar, no? This is very least 118.69, this is very high 585, and this is higher than that 765. Therefore steel required for at this section will be depending on this moment, and steel required at this section depends on this moment, and steel required at this section will be depending on this moment. Again the same way, the depth required at this point will be depending here, depth required here again depends on this moment, depth required here again depends on this moment. But in terms of depth, I will give the uniform depth considering this moment. Okay, then if I give a depth considering this moment, that depth provided will be same here, that is uniform means what, from one end to another end. Therefore that depth will take care of this 118 because it is less than 765, and the same depth which is provided based on 765 will take care of 585 again because it is less than 765. Therefore the depth I will calculate by using 765 kilonewton meter. Okay, now this contraflexure points are there here. These points we will require when we go for detailing. Therefore that I will talk it later, but I will calculate it now only. That I will consider from this end to this end at x distance, then 681.8 into x square by 2, then minus 1500 into x minus 0.59. I will get x equal to 0.70 and 3.70. This 0.70 means from here to here, at this point bending moment becomes 0, and 3.7 means what, from here to here, that 3.70 meter I got bending moment equal to 0. These two values I don't use in the design, but these two values I use in the detailing of a steel. Coming to the depth of slab for bending moment. Okay, as I said that we have a three different bending moments, but we will consider the maximum bending moment. For this maximum bending moment we will determine depth by using a usual equation, that is 0.138 FCK B D equal to mu. In that one I will calculate D, and D value I got 400 mm. Okay, here you need to concentrate. Here this is 1800. This is even the slab it is, but I am not considering actually it should be a beam only. I am not considering 1000 meter, I am considering 1800. Therefore I got 400 mm depth here. Okay, now coming to depth of footing slab for two-way shear. Okay, now what about one-way shear? Okay, I don't consider here one-way shear because the breadth is very huge here. Therefore one-way shear will be definitely satisfied, and even if it is not satisfied also we don't have any problem, because two-way shear require more depth compared to one-way shear. Therefore if I provide the depth for two-way shear, then it will automatically take care of one-way shear. This step you can use it for all the previous problems, but sometimes we may fail to when we assume this definition. For this particular problem we don't have any problem. If we consider two-way shear and go ahead with the depth, then you will definitely get it. Now as we already know, IS code suggests how to determine shear strength for the section for two-way shear, that is Ks to C, and Ks equal to 0.5 plus beta C, and tau c equal to 0.25 root FCK for limit state method. This I will use here. This tau I will calculate as 1.12, and beta is short side column to the long side column. Here the both columns are square only, therefore I will get 1, and this beta if I substitute here, 0.5 plus 1 is 1.5, which is greater than 1, but it should not be greater than 1. Therefore K is restricted to 1, and that I substitute here, I will get tau c equal to 1.12 Newton per mm square. Now coming to, we have two columns. We will determine for shear depth required for two-way shear for both the columns, but not necessarily we need to calculate for both the columns. If you consider the heavy column and determine that, and that depth will definitely satisfy for the lighter column. But for the first problem I consider both the columns for this two-way shear, that is 1000 into 1.5 into 10 raised to 3, that is your column load divided by perimeter. Perimeter is what, 400 is a column dimension, plus D is what, left side D by 2, right side D by 2. Like that in all the four sides you will be having 400 plus D, that is a 4 times of D. Okay, you will get D is unknown here, you will get D as a 412 mm. Like that for column B, 1500 is the column load into 1.5 10 raised to 3, and here the column dimension is 600 plus D, therefore you will get 469 mm. This, by seeing these two, this is 469 is greater, therefore we will provide 469 mm, but we will round it up to 500 mm as the effective depth, and overall depth will be 560 mm. This depth will definitely take care of two-way shear, and even this depth will take care of moment also, because moment depth was 400 and this is more than that, therefore this 500 will take care of moment also. Now coming to steel calculation, AST, now it is again the beam only, therefore we need to calculate. AST we will not calculate by considering only 765 because it becomes uneconomical. Because steel required at this section is based on 118.69, steel required at this point is based on 585.03, steel required at this point is based on 765. Therefore, we will determine in three different quantity of steels that we will consider in this equation B as 1800, D depth 500 and FCK Fy will consider. For 118.69 we will get a steel 667 mm square, and for 585.03 kilonewton we will get a 3500 mm square, and for 765 we will get a 4762 mm square by using this equation. Now we will calculate AST minimum based on the IS 456 guideline, that is 0.85 divided by Fy BD, and here if I substitute the values I will get a AST minimum as 1843 mm square. This 1843 mm square is minimum AST, and under column A we want 667 mm square. But this is more than that, therefore we need to provide this and we need to ignore this. But in these two cases, which is more than this one, therefore we will provide 3500, 4762, and instead of 667 we will provide 1843. Okay, now here we didn't consider the breadth as 1000 mm, therefore we cannot determine the spacing formula always suggests you always give you a spacing between the two columns for 1000 mm breadth. But here I consider the entire breadth, therefore I have to calculate number of bars required for the entire breadth of the footing. Therefore number of bars will be, the formula will be total AST divided by area of one bar. Total AST for this column A, column B, under column A and under column B, and the center span, that we will calculate it by using these equations. This just we are writing the AST for under column A and AST column B, AST column C, and divided by one steel bar. In the first case I consider 16 mm bar, and in this case 20 mm bar, this case 20 mm bar. Then I will write I will get under column A, at this column A I have to provide 10 bars of 16 mm diameter. Here I need to provide 16 bars of 20 mm diameter. Here I need to provide 12 bars of 20 mm diameter. That I will show in the detailing. Okay, here you can see in the detailing these bars are provided here: 16 mm bar, 16 bars of 20 mm diameter at the top, and 10 bars of 16 mm diameter at the bottom, and 12 bars of 20 mm diameter at the bottom. Why? Because this bends this way. You need to draw the elastic curve. You will come to know where is the tension portion and where is the compression portion. Wherever the tension portion is there you need to provide this steels. Okay, thank you.